Hello and welcome back to my channel. All right guys, so I just finished watching the Colin Kaepernick Netflix special, and well, you don't always have thoughts, but I was thinking about this and him and all of these things noodling and some experiences that I've had around having multicultural, multi-ethnic children, and them navigating these waters of, yes.
And you also know something.
What?
I mean, this smoked bacon, and it's not really smoked, right?
What's smoked? That's turkey bacon.
Yeah, smoked.
It's not mint. It doesn't matter about smoked. It's just turkey bacon.
Yeah, but it's smoked cured turkey, chopped and formed, smoke flavor added. So they add.
It doesn't taste like smoke.
They add a smoke flavor. I mean, I'm in America. Oh yeah, let's add smoke flavor.
Let me finish my video.
For real, we add the smoke flavor.
Oh my gosh. So I wanted to talk about the Colin Kaepernick Netflix special and some of the thoughts that I've had around raising multi-ethnic children and their connectivity and experience with Blackness in this world. So subscribe to the channel, and I want to talk a little bit about this. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is this is not a conversation about colorism. All right, it's not a conversation about colorism. One of the things that I've experienced since I've started navigating social media more and starting my channel is a lot of Black folks seem to have a lot of negativity to say about multi-ethnic children. Now, when I started this channel, you probably saw my kids a whole lot more than you do now, because I feel like some of the comments and some of the things that people say have made me pull back on showing them publicly like this. I do still sometimes post them on my Instagram, but generally speaking, I've kind of shied away from putting them on YouTube. Now, most of the comments that I've gotten have been bizarre comments that I've gotten from Black folks, and specifically I think more so Black men than Black women. But it's all made me just be like, you know what? Let me not put my kids so much out there. And additionally, when I was watching the Colin Kaepernick special, one of the things that, he displayed his struggle with, not necessarily his connectivity to Blackness, but his Black experience in a white world. And one of the things that, he was multi-ethnic. I guess he's half Black, half white. I'm not quite sure. I assume that from some of the commentary that was in the documentary. If you can't tell, I just don't follow football very well. And I mean, I know him from the knee kneeling thing, and I have a little comments and thoughts about that as well. But all this to say, he was experienced his Blackness in a very white world, and his parents, his adoptive parents, were both white. And as much as they cared, about him, they were also very clueless about things that he was experiencing growing up as a Black boy. Now, one of the things that Black folks recently have been saying and, putting out in the universe, at least in my experience, which of course is limited, but on social media, is saying, like, okay, multi-ethnic or biracial children are not Black, and they're not accepted by Black people. And of course, they're not white, and so they're not accepted. So this is one of the things that people are always saying. And I hadn't really experienced this personally, being from a family that has like lots of different colors of people, shades of blackness and everything like that. Some of my cousins are actually, with two black parents, are actually more fair skinned than my children are. So my children present black. No one would deny that. You know, they do not look ethnically ambiguous, in my opinion, and they are not at all white presenting or passing or whatever. So one of the things that black folks are always like, you know, lighter skinned people are going to have a privilege over brown to darker skinned people because of their proximity to whiteness. One of the things we saw in the Colin Kaepernick show series was not necessarily true. Not only is he lighter skinned, but he also had white parents, and he experienced lots of prejudice from white people when he was in this white world. A lot more acceptance of him by black folks, just as being black, which is not what people have been saying to me in some instances about my children. So he seemed to have more of a connectivity with the people outside of his kind of white bubble, and he also desired that, it seemed like, from what was presented in the DocuSeries. That's what it probably is, a DocuSeries, right? So that was something that he craved and he needed and he wanted in his life. And he sought it out, it seemed like, through his friendships and relationships. And it's interesting to me that a lot of multi-ethnic people do that, especially those who connects with blackness, present as black, and have a more black experience in this world, from the ethnic prejudice kind of experience, right? But at the same time, there are some, you know, black people who can consider themselves monoracial who still will say your experience is going to not be as hard as someone else, you know, like that trauma bonding thing. So how are we teaching our kids, like, if black folks are telling you, you know what, your experience is a little lighter than someone else's because of your skin tone, and therefore you cannot be accepted into the trauma of blackness? It's really like a bizarre kind of mindset that, I don't know, I assume is somewhat recently developed. Although I was watching Eartha Kitt, and she was talking about her own experience and how so many of the people around her, like who were crop sharers or, you know, those, that kind of period of time, also didn't want her around because, you know, she was lighter skinned and they would call her a little yellow girl and things like that. And so she wasn't really accepted around, you know, black folks either. So I guess it's not so recent now that I'm thinking about it. It's something that has been ongoing, because black people have always kind of had a problem with proximity to whiteness and the possibility, it seems, that you might get treated better. I have the feeling that, generally speaking, unless you are very white presenting, ethnically ambiguous, you do not get those high level privileges that some black people think, like, just being generally light skinned gets you, right? Like, it doesn't really happen. And even those people still can struggle with their identity in some respects, because, again, if you have like parents who are not white, then you in the world having a very different experience than what you know your parents might be having, and that can create some things inside. Now, the thing that I have experienced, at least on my, again, limited life, is white folks don't care. if they if they have an issue with blackness, blah blah blah, your lighter skin does not matter. That is what I have experienced. Or even if they don't have an issue, they see you as a black person. Now, I'm gonna tell a quick story. My now he's 4 years old. He just turned 4 years old. His birthday was this week. Um, this guy that we see often at the market, one day he says to me, I was there on my own, and he says to me, "Oh, you know, your son reminds me of Arnold." And I didn't know what he was talking about, to be honest with you. I was like, Arnold? Who is Arnold? In my head, it went to Hey Arnold, the cartoon, for some reason. But as I was leaving, I was like, what's Arnold? You know? He meant Gary Coleman from Different Strokes. Now, my son is obviously lighter complected than Gary Coleman, and I don't think has any features that would correlate with Gary Coleman. But this man did not see that. What he saw was a little small black boy, and others, you know, probably one of the only few black celebrities that he knows as a little boy, and was like, he looks just like him. I was like, okay. And I think I confirmed it later that he meant the TV show with Gary Coleman. And I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, and I've had other white people say they don't look like they have, you know, like their father might be white, or they just look black. I've had plenty of white people tell me that. And again, they're lighter skinned, they have, you know, little curly hair. I think their hair looks kind of like mine, but their dad has curly hair too, so who knows. So all of that to say, there's not a whole lot of white people going around, well, like, he's light-skinned, so therefore he gets some sort of boost in social status, in whiteness. And I think you saw that over and over again in this Colin Kaepernick special DocuSeries. And one of the things when I became aware of this football player, his whole knee kneeling protest, was I thought, oh, okay, you know what? That should do something. Like, all the football players take a knee and start, you know, against police violence and blah, blah, blah. Y'all saw how that went, right? Not only did he not get the privilege of being multi-ethnic, light-skinned, blah, 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 from the NFL, his fellow players, by far and large, did not support him. Could you imagine? I mean, 80%, I think 80 to 85% of the NFL is black men. If they had all supported this movement and took a knee, or are they that easily replaceable? I don't know. Like, are they scared? I assumed there was some disconnect as well, because perhaps because Colin Kaepernick, he's multi-ethnic, right? So I feel like, would it have been differently if it was someone like, I don't know, LeBron James who did it, right? Who is a darker skinned man who, you know what I mean, like, took the knee, and like the whole, I know he's part of basketball and not football, but I don't know any football players' names off the top of my head. LeBron James came to my mind. So if he were to have done it, and, you know, like, again, like 90, 80% of the NFL, of the NBA, is black folk, black men, would have mattered, right? And there was some allyship, and I think the whole movement stopped now, right? No one's still doing that. Like, it's over. People aren't really committed to it. So I wonder, though, if it's partially because he was multi-ethnic and people didn't feel the need to support him in that way on a large scale. Because I felt like, or I feel as though, if the majority of players had got behind it, what could they have done? They would have had to make a real effort to make change in the world, because this is a money-making machine. And these people are money. So, but maybe they're just easily replaceable because, of course, there's a whole gaggle of people who don't care and who want that spot. So, I don't know. I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this. And I do wonder how we can start letting go some of these ideas again of being accepted by white folks and their proximity being something that we either look negatively on or positively on or think about in the least. All right, I'll meet you guys in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, and ciao ciao for now.